The guitar that you don't see on the stand is the Mick Thomson signature model Jackson electric guitar. The reason why you don't see it is because it's not there. So far, I've made no attempts to show you the guitar, but I will, which is why you should keep watching, because it's coming up. Tell you what, I'm not even going to show you the guitar. Nah, just kidding. So, there's an old Chinese proverb that says, a man who scratches his ass should not bite his nails. Now, what does this Chinese proverb have to do with the Mick Thomson guitar? Nothing. I just kind of like it. All right, so I'm going to show you the guitar. Before I do, I want to tell you about the guitar that you're about to see. Mick Thomson, signature model Jackson, has a proprietary bridge that you don't see on any other guitars. It is based on a Floyd Rose design, but it is not a Floyd Rose, and it's not even a tremolo system. It doesn't have any springs. So that makes it interesting. Interesting enough to include it in this episode of Guitar Quackery, which you are obviously already watching. Just like a guitar with a Floyd Rose system, it has a neck, it has strings, just like any guitar, and it has a bridge that looks like a Floyd Rose to the untrained eye. But those of us in the know can see that this is not a Floyd Rose system because there's no whammy bar and no springs. So how can that be? Well, this is not a Floyd Rose system. It's not even a tremolo system. It's a hardtail. So what's the point? Well, even with a hardtail, you still have a weak point on a guitar, which is the nut. Because if you have too much friction, or if you have string binding, the guitar or the strings, well, same thing, can go out of tune if you do severe bands, right? If the strings get stuck in the string slots. So if you install a locking nut, you take the nut out of the equation. But then how do you tune the guitar? You cannot tune the guitar here anymore. So you will need tuners on the other end, which is what this is. So this is a proprietary system that's inspired by Floyd Rose, obviously. It has tuners on this side. Now let's have a look at this. So it's mounted with 3 screws. Okay, these 2 screws are used to adjust the action up and down independently. Yeah, there's a screw at the back end, which I'm about to unscrew, which is used to hold the bridge down. Now I cannot completely remove this bridge because there's a grounding wire. Yeah, but you get the idea. So this screw here is used to lock the entire bridge down. Yeah, so you can loosen the screw. You don't have to remove it all like I just did. You can just loosen it kind of halfway, maybe like this, so that you can access these screws, which are used to hold the strings inside of the saddles. And then you do your setup in the exact same way that you would do a setup on a Floyd Rose, with one exception. Since this system does not have any springs, there are no springs to be adjusted. And that's it. So this is a unique system, very interesting idea. Hope this helps you. Now let's talk about intonation. On most electric guitars, the saddles are movable so that you can dial in the correct intonation. So what is intonation? We can't get into it, but basically, once you tune the string from nut to saddles to the correct pitch, you want to ensure that it plays the correct notes or the correct pitches on every fret as well, right? Every time you
fret down a string, you are stretching it slightly, so you are increasing the pitch. Therefore, you need to move the saddle back a little bit away from the nut to increase the length of the string so that you lower the pitch. It's complicated, and it's not an exact science, and we're not going to get into it. But on this bridge, there was an issue, as I'm about to show you.
Let's talk about this string. This is a 24 gauge wound string that's tuned to D. As you can see, this saddle is in front of this saddle. It's also in front of this one. If this was a plain string, this saddle would have to be behind this saddle and also behind this saddle. But because it's a wound string, it is in front of this saddle, which also puts it in front of this saddle. Now let's look at the other saddles. To a trained eye, this might look off. And you're right. So this string, which is a 62 gauge string tuned to A, plays sharp. I am unable to set up this compensation correctly because the back end of the saddle hits this plate here. So I cannot push it further back. That's frustrating. I would have to actually file down the back end of this saddle in order to do this correctly. Maybe I will do that. I need to talk to the customer. I didn't build this thing. I'm just trying to set it up.
Now comes the interesting part. That's the part when you click the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Don't forget. All right. So now comes the interesting part. Just like I said, I'm going to take you to the metal shop, and we're going to do some quackery on the milling machine.
I mounted the saddle with the back end sticking up at a 45-degree angle. I'm using just 2 pieces of plywood so that I don't mar the surface. There's a few ways I can do this. That's the end mill I'll be using. So I want to try the plunge method. So here I just measure up. It goes, this is where it starts to make contact with the workpiece. All right, yeah, so let's run the milling machine. Okay. And there you have it.
Before I show you the completed project, I do want to remind you that there are some easy ways to support this channel. There's a link below you can click on that says buy me a coffee. So if you feel that I've earned a coffee, you can click that link, and every penny is going to be used towards producing more of these videos for you to watch, right? Sometimes I stay up late, I do need coffee. Also, there's a link to support this channel on Patreon. And what else? Oh, there's a link to the merch shop. You can buy some Guitar Quackery merch. You can check that out. What else? There's a link to the other channel, the New York City Department of Guitar Maintenance and Repairs. So check that below. Now I'll show you the finished project.
This pattern does look much better now. It looks correct. And it is correct. That's obviously because I was able to pull this saddle all the way back. Now it hits this part of the bridge plate. Can't go any further, but at least we have a correct intonation on the string.
I know what you're thinking. Oh, excuse me. Guitar Quackery? Yes, this is exactly it. All right, let me talk about this. A viewer wants to know exactly what you want to know, which is, why is it that we had to modify a factory product, such as the saddle on that bridge? Well, I guess it was a little bit of a, not so much a design flaw, but an oversight. You see, that bridge was perfectly well designed for standard strings tuned to standard pitch, which means maybe a 42 gauge string or a 46 gauge string tuned to E. But they weren't thinking about players who would put a 62 gauge string tuned to A. Aha. Now let me explain something. The thicker the string, the further away from the nut the saddle needs to be dialed in order to dial in the correct intonation. So they just weren't thinking about that. But we were able to fix it right here at Guitar Quackery. So that's it, my friends. Once again, click like, share, and subscribe. Check out some other links, like you can buy me a coffee. Thank you very much if you do. You can buy some Guitar Quackery merch, and you can also support this channel on Patreon. I'll see you soon.